Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Uronurse, our after Thanksgiving show. Yes, we're here every week, every Saturday, 9 a.m. Central Time. Glad to have everybody on board. We're going to have a great show today. If you're watching us on YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn, welcome to the show. You YouTube subscribers, wow, you're doing a great job. I'm up to 790. It was over 100 new subscribers last week, so keep it up. We're going to hit that 1,000 by the end of the year, I'm sure. This is your first time joining us, be sure to check out our website at uronurse.com, the best place to go to find out more information about the show. And it's also the best place to go to look at all of our past episodes, 68 of them up there. This is episode 69. Hey, for those of you that want to listen to us in your car, be sure to check out our audio podcast, which is available through our Uronurse Plus area on all of your favorite formats. You can listen anytime you want. We are helping Suna out with this workplace role and compensation survey. It's going to be ending, I think, next week. So I'll double check on that. We have it on our website. You can go there, click on the link, or scan that QR code. It's a quick 5-minute survey. You can even win a prize. Be sure to subscribe to our newsletter if you haven't already. Every Monday, we have our newsletter coming out. And today, especially today, use that comment box because you're going to be driving the show. It's your questions which will drive the show. Yes, this week is our after Thanksgiving. A little different. We thought for the holidays we would come up with a little different plan. So you're going to drive the show with your questions. So let's go ahead and bring in our experts. Experts, welcome to the show.
Morning.
Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. All right, get your names up here. So real laid back format today. We're not going to do any of our usuals presentations. It's going to be driven by questions. So Lori, I forgot to ask you if you can kind of keep an eye on the questions, the comments. You can bring those in as they come in.
Sure.
You, the audience, we're going to ask you some questions too. You probably didn't expect that, did you? But anyway, we'll go through our introductions. I'll kick it off. I'm Vic Sidis. I'm the host and producer of Uronurse. Been involved in urology for the past 40 years. Again, Uronurse was started as a way to give it back, but it's been much, much more than that. It's been a learning experience for me as well as for you guys. It's been a really nice ride for us. Lori, go ahead and give us your introduction.
Hi, I'm Lori Atkinson. I'm a certified urology registered nurse. I've been in urology for 25 years now, and I currently work in Geneva and Winfield, Illinois for Northwestern Medicine.
And John, go ahead.
You know, it is not common that I can say that I'm one of the younger people in an audience or in a group. I've been in urology practice. I think, I'm thinking back, I finished my training back in 2003. So just 20 years. I'm a youngin'.
Yeah.
When it comes to experience. I'm a private practice urologist in Gilbert, which is a suburb of Phoenix, Arizona, who, like Vic, is paying it forward by sharing my experience in the business and clinical aspects of medicine to benefit my colleagues. And one of the ways that I'm doing so is by creating the Thriving Urology Practice Facebook group. We're currently close to 2,400 US-based urology practice folks collaborate to improve our practices, and it's all for free. Back to you, Vic.
All right. Well, great. And this show wouldn't even be possible without the experts. It's been the ability to bring all of these great experts and all this great knowledge to you guys for whatever you need to ask questions, as well as our guest panelists who always have something special to present on. But we're going to go ahead and get the show rolling. I've got our first question coming up here. All right. So, and hey, folks that are in the audience, go ahead and fill in the information while we're talking about it. But they say a car says a lot about, what kind of car you drive says a lot about you. So I thought, hey, let's find out what everybody drives. Now, you might not think it, but none of those sports cars were mine. I drive a SUV. It's a Lincoln MKX, nice car. Actually, I've owned quite a few cars in my career, and this has been my favorite. I tested out, I think, about 15 different SUVs. When we moved out to the country, one of the big things was my concern was wintertime in the snow. I needed 4-wheel drive. But I tell you, the other thing is you get older, not getting down into a car is a great thing. So the SUV is the right level, easy to get into, and the Lincoln was just the most comfortable ride. And yeah, comfort was overlooked. So, Lori, what do you drive?
Oh my gosh. Well, after having 5 kids and doing the minivan thing, I drive a Kia Sportage. I like the Kias. I've had a Kia beforehand, and I just think they're pretty reliable. Although I can tell you that I must be a screw magnet, because when I recently went on a trip to Chattanooga to see my daughter, 2 hours prior to that, my pressure and my tire went low. 2 hours before. And so I get there, and of course it's a Friday night, nobody's open, and I'm praying to God it's not going to be flat by the morning. So I take it to, luckily there was a discount tire. It had a big screw in it, but it was in the side. So I had actually replaced the tire, which was, but that's happened to all my cars. I've literally had probably 10 nails and screws in my vehicle in the past 2 years, literally. So
yeah,
no good luck. But yeah, I like the Kia. I mean, yeah, obviously it shows that I'm not rich, but it's a nice car. It's comfortable, and it's an SUV. So yep.
Which one did you say it was?
The Sportage.
Sportage. Yeah. I've rented one of those. They are nice. John, what do you drive?
Yeah, I don't like to get screwed like Lori does. Yeah, when the nail hits you in the sidewall, you're done. You have to replace the tire, unfortunately.
Yep.
Well, I drive a 2020 Lamborghini Huracan. No, just kidding.
Wow. Okay, I'm out.
No. I'm a practical guy.
I kind of figured that one.
Yeah, I even though I can, but I don't. It's for the last, gosh, when I finished my residency, I went from, I think I was making $32,000 or $34,000 a year to making an attending salary. And so I thought, I made it. Yeah. I'm going to get that car that I wanted. So I purchased a 2003 Subaru Forester. So drove that car for 12 years. And then I was envious of the backup cameras, the better side impact protection, and all that, the nicer features of the vehicles. Mm-hmm. And I ended up getting a 2015 Subaru Forester. That's what I'm currently driving. So I've been driving the same model and make for the last 20 years.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. I kind of figured you for a practical car.
Yeah.
I've had some crazier cars in my time. I always wanted a Mustang. So one I finally went out and bought a Mustang convertible. Beautiful looking car. First Chicago snowstorm where they had we get these ruts that they put through. It had a scoop in the front. I tore the scoop off. I'm like, that's it. Enough of that.
My first brand new car when I turned 16 and got my license was a Mustang. Now, granted, it was the Mustang LX, but it was my very first brand new car, and I was super proud of it. But within the first 2 weeks, I'm destined to have something happen to new cars. So it had a hailstorm, and I got hail damage all over it.
My God.
Yeah, I don't have luck.
Wow.
We got any cars coming in from the audience?
Nope, lots of good mornings. Not yet.
Okay. They're just being shy. That's all right. Folks, join in anytime. So we got our next question coming up here.
Hello, I'm a Mac. And I'm a PC.
Hello, I'm a Mac.
And I'm a PC.
Hello, I'm a Mac.
And I'm a PC.
Hello, I'm a Mac.
Hello, I'm a PC.
Hello, I'm a Mac.
And I'm a PC.
All right. The question.
We got one. First of all, we've got
Fran
said she used to drive a 2003 50th anniversary Corvette. Now it's a Mercury Mariner SUV.
Ooh.
Wow.
Oh, and April. Oh, we got them coming in here. All right. So let's see. Barbara, Nissan 2022 Rogue since its inception 2010.
Same make and model.
April says she drives a Jeep Cherokee.
Wow. See? I always knew Fran was one of the Corvette types. Art says a lot about you. So the question is, do you use a Mac or a PC? And I'll kick it off with I use a Mac. I started with a PC back in, when they first came out. And then I got into video editing, and they had this blue screen of death, they called it. And every time I was using it, it's just driving me nuts. And I'm doing this editing. So I started reading up on what was the best computer. And everything I read said Mac, if you're going to do editing type things, creative things. I went with the Mac. I've never switched to anything else, and I've suggested it to many of my friends who've all become Mac fans. So I'm still with the Apple. Lori.
Well, this
Mac or
conversation
PC?
scares me because I don't do IT. I have a PC, hands down. I wouldn't even probably know the big difference between the two, to be quite honest with you.
And it's more of a blurring of the line now, especially. You can't really tell the difference so much.
Gene said, once you go Mac, you never go back.
All right, Gene.
Uh,
Now, John, I'm not sure. I'm thinking he's a PC guy.
Yeah, for many reasons, right? So Apple, you have a very closed ecosystem, and I have a more libertarian leaning type of a mindset. So I don't want my choices restricted. And PC, you have everything available to you pretty much. Yes, the blue screen of death is real, and it was much more prevalent back in the days. And I can't even imagine working in Premiere or something like that and then have it freeze and then crash on you and all the edits that you just made
hours
just
and
went
hours
away.
over.
Yeah. Or while you're rendering a big video and then it crashes on you during the middle of rendering and you have to restart it all. That would frustrate the heck out of me. But like you said, Vic, things have really equalized. Even now, as you heard, most recently, Apple switched from the Lightning connector to USB-C connector.
Yep.
So to the dismay of many who own a lot of Lightning connectors, now they have to find an adapter or buy USB-A to USB-C connectors, which is just okay. You're all our Apple fanboys and girls are finally catching up to the 21st century.
I heard their arm was twisted a little bit by the European Union, who said that they would no longer allow it without. But it's all good. You know, there's always progress. You have to have progress. And I think that, whatever you choose to use nowadays, you probably can't make a big mistake. So hey.
The Apple ecosystem, because it is so tightly controlled, you have a seamless computing experience.
Yeah, it's really the truth. And I had a big influence on the physicians in our group who were not too tech savvy. And so when I started saying, why don't you get an iPhone? Why don't you get the iPad and all these other things? They started switching over to that, even to their computers. And because we're all on the same format, it's really convenient because we just send messages over our watch for when we want, each other to, hey, I need you to come over for this or that. Don't have to, disturb yourself. You just get the little tap on your wrist. So I think there is some advantage to picking a format, but I don't know that there's one that's going to be superb anymore.
So April says she has both. Started with a Mac, yet Mac has not been online class friendly, so had to purchase a PC.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the business software you can't run on Mac too. So there is some stuff that you really need to have a PC for still. So
my office is completely PC.
Yeah,
Windows based.
Our office is all the main computers are PC, but everybody who's carrying their own thing around is carrying an iPad. Well, and I take it back. All our patients check it on an iPad. I still think it's the simplest interface because my true test was I can hand my 2-year-old granddaughter the iPad and she can figure it out. I can hand my 82-year-old mother-in-law the iPad and she can figure it out. So it's just and the rest of the interfaces have not been quite as simple. All right. I do have a question that came in. I think this is a good one. This one was sent in over the internet. What do you do or say to yourself after you've had a really bad day at work to motivate you to the next day? John, go ahead.
Well, sometimes you try your best, right? You worked your whole lives to help other people, but then you have some folks who are just, you don't see eye to eye, who are just not reasonable, or some folks who will make a claim against you to the Arizona Medical Board. And then you have to defend all those claims. And I've had all the claims dismissed because they're just, people feel wronged and they need to voice their opinions like online reviews. So you're going to get those. And I know a lot of physicians who are, perfectionists. You don't want to even be seen as to have made a mistake. So when they get these negative online reviews, they would have a hard time dealing with it. But the thing is, you need to realize that you've tried your best, and really, that's really the only thing that you can do. You tried your best. At the end of the day, can you sleep on your bed and say to yourself, "Yep, I lived a full day, a good life, and tried to do the best that I could have." I don't. And the other thing is, it's for me, I don't have those bad days because I get to do what I love doing in a way that I enjoy doing things, because I'm in solo practice. I get to craft my practice the way I want, the staff that I want, the equipment that I want to use, the procedures that I want to do, the insurance companies that I want to deal with. And it's in essence, the patients that we enjoy seeing. So I really don't have any bad days. And if I start feeling sorry for myself with health condition or whatever it is, I just have to think that the key to happiness, I found out, is gratitude. So just finding ways to be grateful every single day for what you have. Clean water, having a car that works, that we're just talking about, no gasoline shortage, clean air, and then having the knowledge to be able to do what we're doing, having this equipment, be able to put it together, be able to share our messages. So many little things for which I am grateful. I can't feel sorry for myself. I can't really have a bad day. I have no excuse to have a bad day. So unfortunately, I can't relate.
Hey, that's a good point. I think
Gratitude.
You're right.
Gratitude is key.
Don't dwell on the negatives and encourage the positives. Lori, go ahead.
Well, unlike me, I don't have great days every day there, Dr. Lynn, but I tend to take one day at a time. I'm the type of person, yes, like everybody else, we're going to have a horrible day. There's 80 patients, yada, yada, yada. But by the end of the day, it's over. You know, you've gotten through it. Somehow you've gotten through it. You don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. So all you can do, you can't dwell on the past. It is what it is, and there's nothing you can do to change it. So you need to just think about the next day and how you're going to make that day better.
Yeah, I agree. And I think those are all good points. Now, I have kind of a weird way of measuring what's a bad day. So I put the bar so high, it's really hard to have a bad day, because I always say, did anybody die today?
Yes.
If the answer is no, I still had a good day. Now, we all have bad things happen in our day. There's no question about it. I've had one patient take a swing at me, an little old man. Luckily, I was still young enough to move, but
Oh, wow.
I saw the fist coming, but I didn't die. I mean, I didn't, he didn't die. Everything was good. I think it's one of the nice things about this profession, urology. Most of our patients don't die. It's a rarity, and it does sometimes happen. I'm sure John's experienced it more than we have, but being in the OR. But it's just that I think you do your best all the time, and you're going to have people that are never satisfied with anything you do. So you just have to kind of chalk it up to, well, at least they didn't die. They may not have been happy, but you have to have a kind of an attitude or line to draw.
Well, I don't know what this says about me, but I've never had an intraoperative demise. Never had anything like that intraoperatively. I've heard of other surgeons having that happen to them, but it's extremely rare. But fortunately, I haven't had anything like that happen to me. And I was just recounting this story to somebody, how we take precautions, preoperatively. You make sure the patient has been NPO for 8 hours. I remember this one guy who had a nice weekend binge in Vegas, had a kidney stone, a renal stone, renal colic. He came in early. He had just eaten a few hours before, so we waited the prerequisite 8 hours and then put him under anesthesia. And despite that, he had aspiration pneumonia, ended up in the ICU. He recovered, but that was very memorable to me. Despite everything that you do that is correct, sometimes bad things are going to happen.
Yeah.
So,
And I think realizing that.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
Leo.
Marie.
I guess Leo, pre-Thanksgiving Day, a patient received an inadvertent gemcitabine instead of BCG. It happens, but I seriously doubt that patient's going to die from it.
Yeah. See, you put that
right. I'm putting the bar high like you.
Bar that high.
So
But you feel terrible when I
You
know
do.
Oh yeah.
you
Yeah.
make a mistake, but we're human.
We're
It's going to
human.
happen. If you
Yeah.
deny it, it's not going to,
yeah.
Speaking
had-
of,
And
yeah,
then
no one
Yeah,
dies.
no
in
one
OR.
dies
That-
in the
OR.
OR.
that's true. That's true.
Yeah, it's in the recovery room and
right.
ICU. Speaking of gemcitabine and BCG, I read on the what is it, Arizona Medical Board, a local urologist who actually instilled BCG in the wrong patient, or his staff did.
Mhm.
So it's always important for me before I even do a biopsy. So I have fairly streamlined protocol when it comes to doing procedures. When it comes to prostate biopsies, I walk in, I go into the room, the patient's already in position. I'll say, "Hey, Steve, how's it going? Tell me why we're doing this procedure." So I make the patient tell me what are the indications for your biopsy, and then I verify the name of the patient and the date of birth for the patient, and I look at the specimen jars to make sure the labels on the jars match what he is saying, and then I look at my ultrasound device to make sure the name on the ultrasound device matches the label, matches what he is saying. So, and there's nothing else in the room, no other labels, no other specimen forms, so there's no way to mislabel the jar.
Yep. Yeah. I think that's really a good point. You need to have a protocol, a mental checklist of how you do things. I'm the same as you. I do everything the same way each patient. So I know I'm not going to make a mistake. I don't trust the chart necessarily. I ask every patient, are you allergic to anything? You'd be surprised how many times it's not on their chart. Do you take medications that are blood thinners? Then I can't name every blood thinner there are, but I will say, do you take aspirin? Do you take ibuprofen? Any of the non-steroidal anti-inflammatories? Go through this list and do it every time, and you'll minimize any bad results. So,
and if they say, "Oh, I take baby aspirin or something like that," and then like, okay, that's not as bad as Prolenta or
81,
Xarelto.
I always ask them 81 or 325 because
yeah,
I know the AUA not too long ago said that you can do a biopsy with baby aspirin. We've done plenty of them and had no serious side effects from it. But I think it's important because things you can still, even doing all the right things, still have a bad result. So it's just that you take the right steps afterwards to make sure. All right, let's see. My next question. What are the latest advancements in urologic treatment in your expert opinions? John, I'll throw it to you.
Well, I think you're going to have to be a little bit more specific in regards to which aspect of urology, right? Is it in
big field question? Yeah.
Yeah. Is it in business analytics? Is it in coding and billing? Is it in BPH? Is it in vasectomy? Is it in renal cancer? Or is it in prostate cancer? Because you can pick one of those topics and then you have a whole hour conversation about the latest advancements. And also advancements come pretty slowly. By the time it becomes more mainstream, it's already been out there for many, many years.
Yeah. I've kind of seen the BPH arena just exploding with all these new minimally invasive treatments.
Yeah, because all of these technologies have finally come to the fore, and businesses or these venture capital folks have realized that this is a 40 million person problem in the US alone every single year. So they look at the market capitalization on that opportunity, and everyone's jumping in on that, and is well covered by Medicare.
Yep.
Now, Gene, I'm not in the pediatric area at all, so I don't even think I can comment on this. But in the pediatric urology arena, I don't even know how to. Mitrophaenoff channels are common for those kids with spina bifida, bladder exstrophy, posterior urethral valves. How often are the adult uro practices meeting clients with Mitrophaenoff channels?
Ooh, I'm with you.
I'm out.
I can't even say
I have no idea.
I haven't experienced it. So
I will tell you. I will tell Gene, in my personal practice, I have not seen a Mitrophaenoff for decades. I think these pediatric patients tend to, or the parents know to take them to pediatric urologists or probably tertiary care centers that specialize in these catheterizable stomas.
Yeah, but good question.
Yeah, great question.
That's a great question.
You stumped us.
But
All right, here's
I
a
think
little
it
bit
is.
more benign question. What's your earliest memory? How far back do you go, Lori?
Oh man. I would probably have to say my brother and I are very close. We're literally 13 months apart. And I really remember my grandfather is a cowboy. Like he was on a farm. And believe it or not, his ranch originally was in Elgin, way
Hmm.
back when I was little. And so I remember being at the ranch, um, being on the ranch with the horses. I didn't ride too often. He wanted me to be a cowgirl. That was never going to happen. But I do remember my grandmother when this is so stupid, but margarine containers, they had plastic margarine containers. And once those were empty, she would empty those, and they had a bunch of trees that we would collect acorns. They were acorn trees.
Huh.
And my brother and I would just go out and collect acorn. I think that's probably one of my earliest. I had to have been probably 4 years old. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
long time. Long time.
John, earliest memory.
Oh my gosh, it's been so long I can't remember.
Wah, wah, wah.
It'll probably so I grew up in Taiwan. I was born and raised there. I think the earliest memory is probably preschool, where they served us hot like couple noodles, except they're not couple noodles, they're noodles, and that was kind of like our snack. Eating that snack, that's probably the earliest memory that I have.
Yeah.
Nothing exciting.
Yeah. And I can't say that I can recall vividly when I was 2 years old or anything, but I remember that there was a car I had when I was, pretty young. I think it was like 2 or 3 years old. And I just can remember it. Now, my mom says probably because I saw it in a picture, but that was my earliest memories. I still claim it. So who knows? All right. Any questions coming in from the audience, Lori, before I
No
go on to our...
questions here so far.
All right, we'll go back to a urological thing. What's the most common urological problem that you see? Lori, we'll go with you for this.
Yeah,
first one.
I would say definitely BPH and bladder cancer are probably our two most. We have a lot of new providers. We have a provider that's doing the whole up now. And so, yeah, that's probably the majority. We do a lot of bladder cancer treatments. We're doing the gemcitabine, docetaxel, BCG, the mitomycin, everything.
Yeah.
But BPH by far, I mean, I would say probably, I don't know, probably 50% of our patients are coming in with BPH LUTS symptoms. A lot.
Yeah. And John?
Now, is that because of the new provider, or did your
No, we
practice
had
start
always,
advertising?
yeah, I think we're adult urology, so we don't see peds, but I think that with Northwestern, the primaries, as soon as somebody starts complaining of any kind of urinary symptoms, you're going to urology. And in most cases, these people are 50 plus and they've got BPH. So yeah, we see a ton of it, and retention, obviously. So
That means they waited too long. That's just too
I
bad.
know. And that's the sad thing,
You need to watch Defending the Detrucer episode.
I mean,
Yeah.
I remember back in the day when, we never really checked PVRs and, even if you gave an IPSS or an AUA symptom score, we never did. We do that for pretty much everybody that walks in the door, male over 50. Every single one of them, and even in the 40s, anybody with LUP basically will come in with that. And we PVR everybody. And it's amazing how many people we catch early now. It's becoming less and less that you see that patient show up with 2 liters in their bladder. It's becoming less and less. Yeah.
Thank goodness. Or even rarer in kidney failure.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. We still see those. And I've actually caught up on a couple of those, and I've brought it to the doctor's attention. I'm like, their creatinine was this, and maybe we should do an ultrasound to see, and you see the hydro, and then, all of a sudden you're putting a catheter in. So yeah. I would say it's definitely becoming better. Leo says BPH as well.
Hey, thanks, Leo.
And Leo also says recurrent UTI and incontinence. Yeah, we're seeing a lot more of that only because now we have a female physician.
Yeah, it does slant your if you have specialists that are doing one particular area, you're gonna see
Yeah.
more of something, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
John, did
Yeah.
you want to chime in on that?
Yeah, for me, it will definitely be a couple of things. Number one, BPH, because it is a growing problem, and vasectomy, undesired fertility.
Yeah. And I think it makes sense if you look at where we're at with a lot of our big generations, the baby boomers, all BPH problems now because we're that age. The generation before then, Gen Z, X, what I can't even remember which is what they're called nowadays. But those are the ones that have gotten to the age where they're hitting their 40s and 50s. They're done with having children. So they're doing some permanent form of birth control rather than temporary. So it makes a lot of sense, I think. So good.
Oh,
Good
this one-
discussion.
Gene, undescended testicles, buried penis, circumcision consults, congenital hydro, and vesicoureteral hydronephrosis. Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
Sounds like a peace practice to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does, right? For sure. Oh, and then she said, I meant urinary reflex.
Yep, I knew what you meant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Vesico-ureteral reflux disease.
Yeah. All right. Good.
Talk about
let's
changes in
see.
paradigm and how they treat that versus before.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So here's a good one. What are some resources that I can use to learn more about urologic health? Uronurse. There, a point to it. Uronurse. That's my
Absolutely.
answer.
Absolutely. I've learned a lot.
There's
just
other
in my-
resources out there. Lori, what resources have you used in the past?
Wow. I hate to say the online thing, but there is there is pretty good information out there on that. I use obviously the SUNA website a lot. For sure. That's probably my biggest because they have a lot of information on there that is good for a lot of new employees and basics and things like that. I would say even the reps, that come around and the information that they can carry on some things I use a lot as well. So
Yeah. John?
Well, the question should be, what resources don't I use to learn about urologic health? Yeah, pretty much
point.
anything and everything. I'm a sponge. I love learning new information, and I'm not afraid to try to tackle something new or try to adopt something new. Because as we all know, in medicine, one of the worst things that a lot of folks in medicine do is to stay the way we do things. We don't change. We do things because that's the way we've always done it. I like to say that this is status quo bias or dogma, and I try to fight that every single day. As far as urologic sources of information, the American Urologic Association, AUA University, and on the phone, on your Android device or Apple device, you can download an app that'll give you a summary of the AUA guidelines. And so if you're ever in doubt of how do I take care of this condition, you can always look that up and get that information in the palm of your hand.
I like this response. Watch this one. Vic, Dr. Lynn, and Lori.
Yay, Leo, thanks. Absolutely.
Thanks, Leo.
I'm
Thank
going to
you,
throw
Leo.
a response that kind of shows my age, but I can remember when I first got into, in my nursing training, and you had to look up before you saw any patient, look up all their drugs so that you learned about their drugs. And we had to use this thing called the PDR.
Oh my gosh.
Which was the
Physician's desk reference. Yes.
Yeah.
the Bible about this thick. It came out every year with a new version.
Yes.
And it was just huge, just gigantic. And you'd have to go digging through there to find out about drugs. I mean, I'm sure our younger nurses and doctors out there have seen one, probably heard of one, but I don't think they use it. And I don't use it anymore.
They probably see one underneath their computer monitors to use that
hold
to
it up.
prop up their monitors. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Todd says experience for sure. Experience for sure. I mean, I would know what I know today if it weren't for 25 years. And you're still coming across things you don't come across. So, and then we also said books, the AUA Up to Date and Operating Room.
Yeah. I think those are all really important that I think what we need to, stress more than anything else is that you you have to keep yourself up to date. You can't just sit back on how you learned back when you first went to school. It's just things change too much. You have to, kind of constantly learn every day, almost something new. New medications come out, learn about those medications. Be part of organizations like SUNA, the AUA, where there's an ability to get together. And I think meeting with experts that are out there doing these particular procedures is a big help too, because you get somebody's opinion. There's nothing beats experience. When you do something for the first time, you're really just getting into it blindly. If you've done it for your 5,000th time, you got techniques and things that you learn how to do, and being able to share those is huge. And I think that's one of the great things we're doing here is sharing all these tips.
I have some questions if you want to move on.
Yeah, let's go ahead. Roll the questions.
All right. So I got April. Who's responsible for placing the needle during PTNS treatments, RN or MD? Are there any specialized training programs available? So in our office, the RN places the needle for PTNS. As far as programs, we've been doing it for so long that I would assume, is it Laborie that does the PTNS? I can't remember. Does anyone recall?
I think any of the manufacturers of these stimulators will put you through the necessary training so that you would to encourage you to use the device, of course. And I think as far as who places the needle, it'll be state dependent, because sometimes the medical assistant may be able to do it.
Right.
Some states
Sure
do not allow medical assistants to do that.
Yeah, definitely. Our medical assistants are not allowed to do it right now. But I mean, if you think about it, it's not the most difficult thing in the world, and there's nothing you could do to really hurt somebody with it. So hopefully that's going to change in the future.
Yeah. And I think that's the important part, is what the practice acts actually specify, what your abilities, and, follow those guidelines, because you don't want to be practicing outside of your scope and then, find yourself in a legal battle because of some injury. As you say, in the percutaneous placement of a needle on that stimulation, probably pretty minimal, but
yeah, the needle, the percutaneous tibial nerve stimulation needle is so small anyway.
Yeah.
It's unlikely that you can hit something that's going to cause grave injury.
Right. So Todd wanted to know about the iTind for high bladder neck. What do you think? And he also, in a previous message, I'm going to combine them, the high rate of success. I have not heard a bad experience. So we don't do iTind in our office. So
we haven't done one yet, so I don't have any experience. Have you done any, John?
Yes, I have. And well, you remember the study that was given to us by the presenter several weeks ago? Yeah, the marginal increase, and I challenged him on this, that the marginal increase in IPSS or the flow rate, I'm not really convinced, but I'm not the pioneer when it comes to these new technologies. I let other people try it first on their patients, and there are no adverse effects. And then you have this high bladder neck that you need to deal with. Well, UroLift doesn't really address the high bladder neck, and the patient is not willing to undergo a TURP. Then iTind, I think, is a good option when it comes to high bladder neck. Efficacy goes, I just did a TURP on a guy who had a recent iTind. So anecdotally, not very favorable. And looking at the data on their pivotal study, I'm not 100% convinced that it's going to be efficacious in the long term.
Yeah.
Okay. So go ahead.
I think a lot of these, we're just going to have to, wait it out and see, because there's so many that have come out so new that I don't know that we've got great studies to show long term. Like compared to something like a TURP, where we've got, data that goes decades.
Yeah, the thing is, with TURP, if you're constantly thinking about how do I do this better, now I do it as an outpatient. I've been doing that for over a decade, and I often do it without a catheter post-op, meaning tubeless TURP.
You're doing a green light laser, or
no, bipolar. Sometimes
Bipolar.
I'll use a button. Sometimes I'll use the bipolar loop. It's saline. So it's much more physiologic as far as the fluid, irrigation fluid. I think most of us are doing saline bipolar TURP. So it's an extremely safe procedure. It's outpatient. Some patients don't need a catheter. And if they need a catheter, I'm getting the catheter out in less than 24 hours. So I'm trying to take a page from Jeff Bezos' playbook. Try to take away all objections.
Yep.
From your potential customer or patient.
Yeah. I mean, when I started practice first in urology, a TURP was a 1 week hospitalization.
Oh, yeah.
You came in, you did all your pre-testing the day or two before, then you had the surgery, and then you sat around with irrigation for 2 days until the urine was perfectly clear, and then you stopped the irrigation, you went home with the catheter. I mean, that was a pretty bad surgery.
Yep.
On
then,
a patient's mind,
Yeah,
but it worked.
Extremely. That's why I still call it the gold standard. The patients, from the surgeon's perspective, during the procedure, because we were using glycine, sorbitol, it's always okay. Let's go, because you don't want the patient to suffer from hyponatremia. The absorption of all the sorbitol that is going into circulation, and then they go. I've seen it before during training. They undergo mental status changes because he was under spinal, and that's another reason we do it under spinal, is so you can assess the patient's mental status. Back in the day, now put it under general anesthetic. You can take your time, make sure the hemostasis is perfect before you move on to the next patient. Yeah, it's much. You're right. Much
Before
better.
it was the rush because of the water absorption.
Yeah.
Yep. I have some comments. I'm going to try. They're kind of going back
ahead.
and forth here. So, Susie Swain did say that the Laborie does do training. Let's see here. Oh, and then going back to learning, continuing education is important, of course, in any specialty.
Yeah, good point, Barbara.
Yeah. Susie also says MAs do PTNS in their clinic. And then Barbara Rhodes said RNs in North Carolina. So.
Yeah,
Right.
so it kind of shows, because we are such a global program, that it's every place the practice is going to be different. And I'm sure I'd be interested to hear if we ever had some folks from across the ocean, what they're doing over in their side of the world too. All right, let's see.
It depends on your state, and it depends on the facility in which you practice. Sometimes the state will permit it, but then someplace like Northwestern may say, well, our internal policy says we don't allow it for whatever reason.
And I have to go back to one comment that I missed earlier on, because this must have been a conversation that you guys had with the whole car thing, I guess, early on.
Okay.
That she still has her Toyota RAV4 thanks to your encouragement.
Yes. Back in the day when we did the after show, we helped Susie.
I think it was like one of the first 5 episodes.
Yeah. She was talking about, I need to get a new car. We'll talk about anything on this show. Believe me. We don't limit it.
For sure.
All right. Here we go. If you had any superpower, what would it be? Superpower.
Ooh.
Johns, what would your superpower be?
And of course, I want world peace. No, this is pretty easy, because as a urologist, we unfortunately sometimes we have to deal with things other than lifestyle issues, and for me, that'll be to cure cancer.
Yeah.
That's pretty straightforward and easy for me. Seeing people suffer, knowing, seeing the patient who's got bilateral uterine obstruction from uterine cancer or metastatic prostate cancer and pain, that and knowing that their life expectancy is limited and their quality of life is not going to be very good. Thank goodness there's hospice, but being able to eliminate that from human suffering would be awesome.
Yeah. Great one. Lori, can you top that?
Man, I can't even top that. That's pretty good. I miraculously want my house cleaned every day without having to do it myself. Not have to work, maybe. I don't know. I'm kind of happy with where I'm at. I don't want a superpower. I mean, just to make everybody happy,
Just regular powers are fine.
Not to have those, not to have those bad days. I wish, to be able to not have to stress, take away
Oh,
stress.
that's easy. You just put Prozac in a water supply, and everybody.
No, we have to live where you live in Arizona and live where apparently your life. So.
So now I've been watching this show on Netflix called Suits. I don't know if anybody's seen it. It's about lawyers, and the one character has perfect photographic memory. He can look at it and remember it. And I actually have photographic memory myself. Now, unfortunately, you lose it as you get older. At least I did. But I used to be able to take a test by just reading it and seeing it. I could read it in my head if I couldn't remember it. But I would like to have had that perfect photographic memory where you look at it and you remember it. I think that would be the neatest power.
Kind of goes along with Leo, imaging
vision. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's so funny because I'll guys are shy, right? I do a lot of vasectomies and I examine these new patients, and I'll say, okay, I need you to stand up. I need to examine you. And they just kind of stand up and they just stand there. And I'm thinking,
yeah.
So my comment to the guy is, sorry, I need you to take your pants off. I don't have x-ray vision yet. So I can totally rebate to imaging vision. Yes, x-ray vision. I thought about that.
Oh my gosh. Okay. And Jean says eliminate the burden of prior authorizations. That's awesome. Oh man, I'm right there with you, Jean. Those are such a pain. It's getting worse and worse.
The bane of our existence. So, Jean, I'm going to ask you if your practice takes a lot of Medicare disadvantage plans, also known as Medicare replacement plans. And I bet you do, because over 70% of the Medicare disadvantage plans procedures require prior authorization. And it's nothing more than a way for these private insurance companies, by the way, private insurance companies that administer Medicare disadvantage plans to save money, to cut spending so they can increase their bottom line. So you got to keep in mind the US government, Medicare, is not there to make money off of you. But whenever you relinquish your right to Medicare by purchasing one of these disadvantage plans, you are no longer on Medicare.
Yes.
Don't kid yourself. You're no longer on Medicare if you are on a Medicare disadvantage plan. They should be called replacement plans, senior replacement plans, not Medicare Advantage. It's not Medicare and there's no advantage.
Yeah, we're in the zone where you can reach up or change your Medicare again.
Yeah, we're in the annual
as a
enrollment
citizen
period.
who gets Medicare, I can tell you that I get bombarded with all these ads to never pay a deductible again. I mean, it just sounds too good to be true because it is too good to be true. And
you also have, I came across recently where, we have some new procedures we're doing in the office, and it says, they'll be like, oh, no prior authorization is necessary. Mm-hmm. That may mean it's not necessary. It may mean that they don't cover it, period.
They don't cover it.
So of course they don't need authorization because they don't cover it, period. You have to be careful with some of these wordings,
Yeah. All right. Well, you had your warning now. You make the decision.
No, but I understand that for some folks who may not be able to afford a traditional Medicare with supplemental insurance to cover all of their medical expenses.
It's true.
Some of these replacement plans may be better for you, but whatever, you have to understand there's always a catch, right? You don't get that free dental, free vision, and hearing aids without giving up something.
Nothing's for free in this world.
No.
Except for Uronurse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jean says, again, in peds, much of what we do is medically indicated, but kids are not little adults, so adult urology barriers should not, cannot apply to peds. And I see that's true. Very true.
Yeah.
I believe that, kids, it might be easier to get authorization for them because their problems are not like a lot of ours that are they maybe not medically necessary. So.
That's right. Gene's in peds, so you are probably dealing with Medicaid or private insurance.
Yeah.
And the private insurance prior auths may be onerous. Yeah. Again, you have to keep in mind, what is the role of private insurance? The private insurance folks, what is their main responsibility? They are responsible for making a profit because they have a fiduciary responsibility to their stockholders.
Absolutely.
So their goal is to make a profit. And how do they do that? Collect more premiums or pay less on their medical related losses or something like that.
Yeah.
How much they pay the physicians and the hospitals. That's how they make money. They decrease the payment.
Right.
All right. Here's my next question. Nice, easy one. What's your dream vacation? You could go anywhere you wanted and do anything you want. Money was no object. Lori, what would you do?
Oh, man. I have so many places. I'm fortunate enough that my boyfriend right now, he works for United. He's a
Yeah, that's right.
yeah, so he's a senior investigator, a flight investigator for United. So we can go anywhere. Now, of course, COVID hit right when I met him, so we haven't been able to go. I don't know. I mean, there's so many options. He's been everywhere. He just got back from Guam, so
Wow.
I mean, he talks about all these places, and I don't know. I like historical stuff, but I went on a cruise to Hawaii that I absolutely loved years ago. I mean, I just love Maui. I just love that island. I mean, I couldn't tell you. I want to go everywhere, and I can't wait to retire so I can.
Good point. Good point. John, you got a favorite, or you like Lori? You just wanted it all.
Oh no, actually, I could stay at home and I'd be happy because if I'm surrounded by family, that's all I need. I don't need to go anywhere. If I'm surrounded by family, that is my dream vacation, where everybody just kind of hangs out and enjoy each other's company. I don't really need to go somewhere. But if I do want to go somewhere, I'll probably visit Europe. That'll probably be my next stop.
Yeah, yeah.
Leo says restroom, accessible restroom. And then
That's interesting. You put that about restrooms. I have been fortunate enough to travel a fair amount throughout my life, and Europe is a weird place to go when it comes to public bathrooms.
Yeah,
They're like non-existent, and when you do find one, it's hidden. You gotta buy something. I had to go to the bathroom. Really had to go bad, and I go into this place and I said, "Can I use your bathroom?" He goes, "You must buy something." It was in Paris. And that was probably a bad Paris accent, by the way, French accent. But anyway, she said, buy a Coke. Buy a Coke. I got to go to the bathroom. I don't want to drink a Coke. But I had to buy a Coke. I gave it to my wife, and I went to the bathroom. And then it go down this long, winding staircase to this one little room. There it is, hidden. And thank goodness for a Coke, I could go and empty my bladder. But it's a different world than what we're used here in America.
and was there toilet paper?
That's the other thing that's interesting. So we went to Italy, and I come out the first time we were there, and I come out of the bathroom, and it was a very normal bathroom. My wife went to the bathroom, and she said, "There's no toilet seats on any of these toilets." I go, "Well, there were at ours." She goes, "No." I said, "You mean no toilet seat?" "No, you have to hover." She said, "We're gonna have the best thighs, all the women in the group." So. But now my goal, and I'm trying to knock this off my bucket list, is to see all 50 of the United States. I've covered most of them, but I haven't. And this summer we've got a trip planned where we're going to fly out to Seattle and start there and work our way to Utah driving to cover all the states that are high, because I have a problem with altitude. If I'm at high altitude too long, I get sick. So I planned it so that every other day I come down to, we're going to be driving along the river. I think it's the Snake River or Columbia River, one of those two. So you come down to normal altitude so I can kind of get my oxygen levels back up and then head up to something else. So that's my goal for my dream vacation. April, I never heard of Sicilies.
Sicilies, yeah.
And can you tell us where that's at, April?
Tell us where that's at. In the interim, Fran said hole in the floor in Sicily.
Yes. At Japan, I had a cousin who lived in Japan and took a picture of theirs. It's literally a hole in the floor you kneel on. So, yeah, it's we take our toilets for granted out here, folks.
Oh yeah, we do. So the Seychelles is an archipelago. It's an archipelago of 115 islands in the Indian Ocean off of East Africa.
Oh yeah, she said East Coast of Africa.
East Coast of Africa. Sounds cool. I think that's the whole, I love to travel, so it may just be my weirdness, but there's so much to see and everything is different, the different cultures. Like I said, I've been fortunate enough to be able to travel quite a bit when I was younger, but I'm looking forward to still doing a lot of traveling. As a matter of fact, we're looking at you're going to see a lot of remotes coming up in the end of December and January, because I think we're going to be home less in January than I'll be on the road. But it's all good. Got a lot of grandkids to go and visit.
Yeah.
Nice.
So let's see. I think I got any other questions from the audience, because we're getting
There's
close
a
to the end.
question that, earlier back here. Let's see. What brought on my high bladder neck 9 years ago? I'm 66 years old, and he has a 26 cc prostate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Bad luck.
I see that. I see that fairly often. Small prostates with significant low urinary tract symptoms. So it could be a small prostate by volume, but then all the action is inside the prostatic urethra. Also, just because you have an obstructive prostatic urethra does not mean that you're going to have high IPSS. So there's very poor correlation among these variables, and you really have to individualize the treatment. Is it really BPH that's causing you to have urinary difficulties, or is it just overactive bladder? Do you have some diet that is causing you to have some of the irritated voiding symptoms or lower urinary tract symptoms? So ferreting that out is the job of the urologist and with the patient.
So I'd like to thank everybody that joined us for the show today, and hang out, because we are going to have a raffle. I have one shirt to give away that I didn't give away. It's a large Uronurse shirt, so one size fits all. And we're going to do that in just a moment, but I do want to thank the panelists. Again, kind of coming up with a good idea for something to do different than we've done. I think this has been great. I don't know how you guys, it's just kind of fun to sit and chat and not have such a formal program to do. Love the questions we got from you guys. It's been a ball just kind of sitting and talking about urology. But just, oops, I got to get my button here right. Just want to put a plug in. Join us next week. We will be going back to our regular scheduled programming, and we're going to be talking about genital urinary symptoms of menopause. We have Rachel Rubin joining us, who's a really great speaker on this subject. Be glad to have her on board. And now I'm going to try to figure this out. If you go into your comments and you put in Uronurse or hashtag Uronurse, let's see if I can share this here. There it is. That's our giveaway tool. So if you put in Uronurse,
put in hashtag Uronurse in the comment section right now to be eligible to enter for this drawing. Hashtag Uronurse in the comments.
And again, you can win the Uronurse T-Shirt. And it doesn't matter whether you're out watching it on StreamYard or Facebook or YouTube. It'll take your entry no matter how you put it in. Hashtag Uronurse. We're going to let these roll up. I can kind of see them coming through right now. So, yeah, it's been a blast. What a crazy... Sometimes some of the crazy ideas work out the best. So I'm really pleased with how the show went. This is a good day to enter a program because I've only got 4 folks. So you got a 1 in 4 chance so far. I'll give it a little bit more time.
Yeah, so
Very
far
good.
only 4. We got April, Susie, Jean, Fran. Who else?
Well,
put in hashtag Uronurse in the comments right now, or forever hold your peace.
That's right.
Yes.
Yay.
Rajesh.
Hey, we just got
A
one
man.
more.
Where's
All
Leo?
right. And now for the drawing.
There's Leo.
There we go.
There we go. So this, by the way, the computer does this automatically.
And Barbara.
Oh, we got more coming in.
Here we go.
Yes. Hashtag Uronurse, folks.
Better wait it out here.
Yeah, Rachel Rubin next week is a dynamic speaker. She's passionate about genital urinary symptoms of menopause. One of the very few fellowship trained sexual medicine specialists in the country.
Well, I'm at that age, so I'll be there.
Yeah, it's going to be. I think it's just a really. It's an area that I don't think gets enough attention. So I really like to.
It's only 50% of the population. You know,
Yeah,
who
only.
cares? Yeah. We've been doing such a disservice to so many women because of the misinformation that was put out by the Women's Health Initiative. The media picked up on just the bad things. And so a whole couple of generations of women have been greatly underserved.
Well, here we go, folks. Hope you win. And our winner is April McGriff.
Oh,
April, all you need to do is go to the uronurse.com website under the contact us and just send me an email with your address, and I will be getting that to you in the mail. Again, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us for the show. It's been a pleasure to be on. And with that, we're going to see everybody next week, I hope.
Bye, everybody.
bye.